Welcome back to another episode of the Hollywood Happy Hour podcast. Today is episode 9, featuring Shannon Bouknight. This young lady is very special to me for a lot of reasons. So special to me that I've decided that we're going to get married. That's right, this is my fiance. Very weird to interview your fiance, but I'm going to do it. It's happening today. Today is my birthday, so she has allowed me to interview her as a gift for my birthday, which is pretty ridiculous, but also, I got it done. It's something, I've been asking her to do it. I wanted her to be one of my first guests as we're kicking this whole adventure off. We're finally on iTunes, guys. Pretty excited about that. I dumped all 8 episodes on there at once, hilariously out of order. That's how professional I do it. That this sort of behavior explains why I am where I am. All 8 episodes are up. This 9th one is now up, obviously. But hey, 9 episodes on iTunes. We're doing the thing. They'll be in order from now on. Don't worry about it. It's fine. You know what? That's what makes us special, is that we're not like everybody else. We're not trying to be perfect. We're just trying to do this for funsies, right? We're trying to be entertaining. Okay, so we are on iTunes. Here's what happened with that. So I recorded the first 2 episodes, put them on SoundCloud. Then I got the RSS feed. I put it on iTunes. And then I realized I would have to pay money to SoundCloud in order to do more than 2 episodes. And I was like, nah, I don't know that I enjoy this that much. But then I kept recording episodes and I would put them on Mixcloud. Mixcloud, you can put as many episodes as you want on, and they don't charge you, but they don't give you an RSS feed for iTunes. So that's a bunch of bull. So eventually I got like 7 or 8 episodes, and I was like, this is stupid. I really enjoy doing this. I have the time. Let's do it. How much does it cost? And then I looked at how much it costs again. I was like, come on. It's not that much money. Just do it. So here we are. We got the podcast up on iTunes. We've got the Instagram going. We've got the Twitter going. We've got the Facebook going. We're doing it. We're full in. We're all in. We're rocking and rolling. We are full speed ahead. Jets in the air. Rockets lift off. Whatever you want to say. And it's exciting. I like putting things out, whether it's on YouTube or in a movie theater or if it's TV or if it's a blog. I don't care. I get so excited still, like I did when I first started, back when YouTube first started. I remember when YouTube first started, I would make these videos, these, homemade little backyard videos, and I would put them on YouTube. They're not there anymore. I deleted them. Which some days I regret, because back when I uploaded those, I was getting like 7,000 views, and I didn't think it was a big deal. And I'm like, because I was, there wasn't a lot on YouTube. I was being found. People were sharing the videos, and then I deleted them because I was embarrassed of them. And, it's harder to get those kind of views. Anyway, I still get that excited now when I put out podcasts or whatever it is. It's very fun. It's fun to entertain people, and, you get excited when people are enjoying something that you're doing. That's, if it's just me putting my, something out into the world that's not being watched or heard or read or whatever, it's depressing. It's disappointing. It's like I put my heart and soul into this thing, and no one cares. But I'm also not doing it because I have some intent on being famous. I'm not. Here's the thing. I'm selfish. I want my cake and I want to eat it too. I hate that phrase, because who wants cake and then doesn't want to eat it? You're just going to look at the cake? That's stupid. We all want to eat the damn cake, so eat the fucking cake. Eat it. What's my point? Oh, my point is that I don't want to be mega famous, but I want to be just famous enough to constantly be working for money. Does that make sense? I don't know if that's going to be possible, but I'm trying. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm also just trying to have fun and keep myself sane and, live my dreams. So, aren't we all? So, I'm doing the podcast, and it's fun, and I hope you guys are enjoying it. I'm not going to stop doing it. I'm not going to stop any of this. a few months ago, I was depressed, and I was like thinking I was going to quit. I thought I was done. And then I went and sat on an island in Turks and Caicos, and I sipped Mai Tais, and I let the sun cook my skin, and I didn't do anything for a couple weeks, and then I went to Indiana, and I didn't do anything for a couple weeks, and then I came back to California, and then I didn't do anything for a couple of weeks. And then I started coming out of that depression, and I also started realizing that I felt like I was being lazy, and I also had all this creative energy, and boom, before you know it, a podcast pops out. I don't know. I don't know how to explain why I keep working like this, why I keep doing what I do, why it's a compulsion to me to go out and do stand-up and all the craziness that I do. Why do I do all this? I don't know. I have to. I haven't gotten millions of dollars for this. I haven't gotten fame, not that I'm looking for it. I'm in a weird spot where it's like people appreciate what I do. Not a ton of them. I don't know how to explain it without it sounding stupid and cheesy and like fake, but my point is I really enjoy this, and I'm thankful that people are listening. I'm thankful that I even have this opportunity. This is crazy that I can sit down with a microphone, record something, and put it out onto iTunes, and the whole world can just have it. There you go. The whole world. Not just like 5 people that I know on Facebook. Like the whole world can do this if they want. And anyone can record a podcast. You could record a podcast right now. And the world needs more podcasts. There's only 5 million of them. I don't know. But yeah, today's my birthday. You can look up my age on IMDb if you want. I am 24. Yep. So, anyway, what am I going to do today? I'm not going to do much. I enjoy escape rooms. We're going to go to an escape room, and then we're going to go to some, like, bar and have pub food for happy hour, and we're not going to spend too much money. We've got a wedding coming up. We're not going to go too crazy. I have work in the morning. We're not going to, be too sentimental about it because I don't like birthdays. I get a little down around birthday time, which is probably why I'm working today on this podcast to keep myself from thinking about it, and yet here I am still talking about it. I mean, the great thing about me is that I'm not neurotic at all. That's the great thing about me. But the thing is I do enjoy hanging out with my friends. I text the group of friends, and I was like, hey, so this Friday, why don't we go out and we'll do an escape room and dinner? And they were like, oh, this Friday? You mean your birthday? And I was like, busted. I don't know. I don't like it. And then also I feel obligated to be thankful when people wish me a happy birthday. So I'm that guy on Facebook that says thank you to every single birthday post. So that's how I spent an hour of my day today before I did the podcast. I was thanking people on Facebook. And not that I'm not thankful. I am thankful. I really am. But I also don't like that attention. But that doesn't make any sense because everything that I do is for attention. Does any of this... You guys must think I'm nuts. I think I'm nuts. This is it's stupid. Why does there always have to be a contradiction with me? There always is. There always is. I'll figure it out someday. I don't know. Let's see what else is going on here. So the wedding's coming up. I talk about that a lot. It's exciting. The only downside is that it's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be exactly what you want it to be. And Shannon talks about this in the podcast that I'm very involved in the planning of it. But there's a reason why we're putting a ton of money into it. We're inviting everyone that we know, or not that we know, but that we like, to come out to this thing. And, we want them to have a good time. We want it to be, I don't want to say impressive. We just want it to be good quality. And in doing that and wanting that, it takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of stubbornness in your choices and in what you want, getting what you want. And it hasn't been super easy, but it hasn't been difficult either, But it's exciting. I'm really excited for it to go down, and also excited about that honeymoon. Jamaica, baby. Jamaica. I've never been to Jamaica. I love traveling. As you guys probably know, I've done some traveling, not as much as I wanted to. so far. I thought I would have. I don't know. I was gonna say I thought I would have traveled more, but at the same time, I don't know. Maybe I would. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe actually I don't think I thought I would travel as much as I have. But now that I have, I'm like, I wish I would have traveled more. Isn't that how it goes? But yeah, we're gonna do Jamaica, which is exciting. Get a little vacay, even though I just had one. Life is hard, isn't it? But yeah, not too much going on. Barney is sitting right next to me. Barn, how you doing? Okay. He's doing good. We went for a walk this morning. Now we're going to do a little podcasting. Got my water. It's extra hot in here today. Hot outside, but you know what? Life is good. Life is good. So let's enjoy it. Here's to another year of being 24 in Los Angeles. There's nothing to complain about. There's nothing to complain about. My job's not hard. I get to do fun stuff all the time. Got a great lady. Got a good, pretty good puppy. Sometimes he's a jerk, but no, he's great. You guys following me on the social media? Probably. If you're listening to this, you probably are. But if you're not, my Instagram is Shot of Bailey's, and you should be following the Instagram of the Hollywood Happy Hour podcast. We're all over the place. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, YouTube's, everywhere. We're everywhere. So go like, subscribe, comment, share. We'd like some more listeners. We'd like that. Don't have a sponsor. You know how they always do the sponsor things? If you want to sponsor me, I'd be happy to let you sponsor me. Rate is very cheap right now. So, do I even want to say that on the podcast? Makes me feel cheap. No. Screw it. We all need money. Let's go. Let's get some sponsors, people. I need to get back up on stage to do stand-up, too. That's what else is going on. The Burbank Comedy Festival is going on. I'm going to go hang out at that for a while. But other than that, life's pretty good. How are you guys? Hopefully good. Write me sometime. Hit me up. I would love questions or something. I don't know. I feel like it's time to do something more artistic where I'm not being Steven. Because with the podcast and the things I've put on YouTube recently and things like that, I feel like you guys are getting a lot of me on a personal level. I'd like to do something more artistic that's not me on a personal level. I want to be somebody else for a little while. Time to do another movie or something like that. Me and Jason are writing a new movie called Go Your Own Way. I talked about it in the last episode, but we didn't really talk about it that much. I'm really excited about it because it's going to be low budget, but I'm very excited about it because it's such a personal story about four people whose lives sort of intersect, and it deals a lot with, relationships and addiction and codependency and life as a 30-something, and, we're looking forward to it. So we're putting the final touches on that. We should start shooting that after the wedding. I told Jason we got to wait till after the wedding, but once the wedding's done and I come back from this honeymoon, I'm ready. Let's get a feature done. So that's going to be exciting. I'll keep you guys posted on that. But other than that, we're just working on, smaller videos and doing some stand-up, doing some podcasting, doing some writing. Just enjoying things. I'm just trying to relax a bit. I've been so hard on myself for 7 years. I'm doing fine. It's okay. Everything's going to be fine. Right? Yeah, we're good. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's about it. So I'm really excited for you guys to listen to this episode with Shannon. She is a delightful person, as you're going to be able to tell. She is the light of my life. Very supportive, very awesome, very excited that she did this. So please enjoy episode 9 of the Hollywood Happy Hour podcast with the lovely Shannon Bouknight, soon to be Shannon Bailey. Holy shit, here we go. And we are recording. Okay, we're doing this. All right, so are you only doing this because it's my birthday?
Yes.
Okay. All right, scoot a little bit closer over here. There you go. Love the mic. Let the mic love you. Let's talk about how much I love LaCroix now.
It's weird, especially for someone who hated it. What's your favorite flavor?
This is cran raspberry, and I hate this, but I'm still drinking it because I like it. So the whole thing was that I tried it once, and it was like a little kid trying beer. You try it, and then it didn't taste right
Gross.
to me. Yeah, it tasted gross. I don't know if it was the
because it's not soda. It's not like
no,
it's
but they
sugary,
still have to do what they do to soda, which is that carbonation.
Yeah.
And it sort of puts a taste to it a little bit, but it's like the debate where some people say, oh, you can't taste the aluminum in the can, and I say you absolutely can taste the aluminum in the can. And so, I don't know, I think after trying a couple vodka sodas with you, and then I got used to it, now, even last night at work, I had like 3 Perriers. I don't know, I just can't stop.
You're bougie now.
Now, does it bloat you because of the carbonation?
A little bit. Like anything that's carbonated is gonna bloat you a little bit, you know.
Well, that's not good.
But it's like the same thing like chewing gum bloats you.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah,
but it's because you're sucking in air, right?
Right, exactly. So it's like that same type of thing.
Yeah. Hold on, I'm gonna move this microphone a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. I like it though. I think my favorite is mango, but I was just looking our Target order.
Yeah. So before the wedding,
kiwi strawberry.
You shouldn't drink as much of those or
right.
eat as much gum because it'll bloat you.
Right.
You gotta fit in your dress.
Yeah, well, can't do it with another refitting anymore, so. Okay, so we are doing this podcast. You're the 9th episode.
Oh wow.
Yeah. You're actually the first one that will be released like to iTunes on purpose. I like this whole thing has been very weird because I've recorded 8. The first 2 I put on SoundCloud and then released them to iTunes, and then I didn't know if I was going to keep doing it, and I was like, do I pay the money to SoundCloud to host it? How bad do I want to do this, right?
Yeah.
And I really enjoy doing it. I'm not doing it for any reason. Like, I'm not doing it for money, obviously. I'm not doing it, and like, so as of right now, like, I'm just talking to my friends.
Right.
So it's something I'm paying to do for fun. And it's creative, but it's not, because I'm not acting. I'm just talking to people and recording it. It's like to me.
Well, why do anything if it's not going to like fulfill you in some way, right?
But I don't know that it's fulfilling me. That's the weird thing about it, is because I'm not performing. I'm just talking to you. There is a slight bit of performance that goes into this, I guess, because even the way we're talking to each other now is a little more heightened than how it would be if the mic wasn't in front of our face.
Right.
But I don't know. I like doing it. It's not a low form of art, but it's the lowest form of performance. Not saying it's not an artistic venture, because it sort of is, but as far as performance, like there's no pressure, there's no script. I don't have any sort of I have to get this done, I have to ask these questions or anything like that. Like, I've done, in the 8 episodes I did previously, I did like the Bernard Pivot questionnaire that they do on inside the Actors Studio, because that was like my favorite show as a teenager.
Right.
I watched like every episode, and I always loved that. And I guess I always dreamed of being asked that, and I think I did it in episode 2.
Someone asked you, or you?
Well, yeah, because what we did was episode 1, I interviewed Zedric, and then Zedric interviewed me. He was originally going to be the co-host, but he's busier than I am, and, so it's just sort of me now, and then I've done like 3 episodes with Jason. The first one was like an interview, and the second 2 were just like shooting the shit.
Right.
It wasn't a big deal. And then, like, the other episode, I've only done a couple other episodes, but, like, so I don't quite know what I'm doing with this yet. I don't know what I want it to be. Like,
right.
With Jason, I have this thing called Trailer Trash, and we originally were, like, talking, is that a web series?
Right.
And then I ended up just sticking it on here, where we, like, look at the new trailers, and we just talk about them. And then, so we did that, and I was like, it could be more. So what I want to do with that is I want to say, well, not only just judge the trailer and say if the movie's going to be good, but say, how much do you think it's going to make in the box office? Is it going to be profitable? Do you think it'll win any awards? If so, go deeper with it. And so I'm trying that out. I might do the Bernard Pivot thing with you today just because it's fun. But I don't know what it is, Even the theme music, I've changed the theme music like 3 different times in 8 episodes. And then in those 8 episodes, so then, I finished the SoundCloud. I paid the SoundCloud thing, uploaded the other episodes, and then put them all on iTunes at once. It was like just an 8-episode dump of...
Right. So do you think you're going to try to do this more consistently, like
I'd like to.
bi-weekly or something like that?
Bi-weekly, I think, yeah.
I mean, that's doable.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like, I have friends of mine that aren't famous per se, but I would love to interview them just because I'm interested in finding out things about them that I don't know, you know?
Right.
People that have been, you know, we both know people that have been working in the industry for forever.
Right.
So it would be cool, but I don't really know what I'm doing with this or what, you know. But you know, I've done my due diligence and made it a Twitter and a Facebook and an Instagram, and I'm on SoundCloud and Mixcloud and you know iTunes. So I mean, it's like it's official.
Right.
But what's weird is like it's just I don't know. I guess to me it's weird because I can distribute my own work. Like, I don't have to ask permission to do anything. Mm-hmm. That's weird.
I mean, I think it's kind of a beautiful thing now that we're able to do that. You know, obviously, we have friends who just started a podcast as well.
What's it called? Drunk Poet Society.
Drunk Poet Society. I think it comes out in September. They haven't released any yet. September 2018. I don't remember the exact release date, but we could probably put that in the comments.
Well, just look up Drunk Poet Society. They have I think they have a preview episode up, don't they?
They might have an intro, and then they do have the same thing, you know, a Facebook and Instagram and everything. But that one's like basically a book club, you know, which is kind of cool, and it kind of gives an outlet for people who are looking to join a book club, but like might not have friends nearby or anything like that. Well, so that's kind of cool that you can follow along. But I just think like with podcasts, it can be whatever you want it to be, and you can kind of search either your, you know, favorite celebrity, or you can just look at more of like a book club or a talking podcast or whatever you want it to be, you know?
Yeah. Well, what's interesting about theirs is that they're doing a new cocktail that is specifically inspired by the book that they're doing on that episode.
Yeah.
This used to be that way. Hollywood Happy Hour was going to be like a different drink for each episode.
Yeah.
Almost like a comedians in cars getting coffee thing. Like, okay, for you, I would have done like a vodka tonic with a twist.
So why'd you jump that?
Probably because I record in the day and most people don't want a day drink.
Yeah, fair enough. But it is your birthday, so.
Fair enough.
Hey.
That is true. But I'm still drinking this water because I want to look skinny for the. That's such an LA thing that even a guy is like, I need to look skinny, so I need to just drink water.
Yeah.
This is very weird. It's been a weird journey. Anyway, let's talk about your journey.
Okay, let's talk about it.
It's gonna be okay. So yeah, that's gonna be weird because, you know, obviously I know all this stuff about you. We've been together for a while, and we're, you know, marrying you. So I said that so negatively. I'm marrying you. But yeah, I think it'll be cool. So just pretend that I'm not me. I'm just some fella interviewing you.
Okay.
All right. Where'd you grow up?
Wow.
It's like a first date.
Really basic questions.
Yeah.
I grew up in Santa Clarita, which is outside of like Los Angeles, you know, probably about like 30 minutes outside Los Angeles proper, and it's very like suburbia. If anyone has seen, I always say if anyone has seen Edward Scissorhands, Valencia or Santa Clarita is based. That town is based off of them, because Tim Burton went to school out there, and so he kind of based this town off of that. So it is very, like I said, suburbia, but really, you know, friendly, clean, and everything, but not necessarily like you're not in the muck of Hollywood. So I didn't like grow up with a Hollywood lifestyle or anything like that.
Santa
you know,
Clarita feels like you're right. It's very suburban, but it's almost like because it's so much of a desert climate up there because it's so hot, and even driving up there from our area, when you're driving up the 5, it's so hot and dry, and then you get into like there's like a mall there with a fountain and very green grass, and it's like it's unnatural because everything is so, like you said, clean cut and perfect in the middle of this sort of desert wasteland. It's like it doesn't belong there, and it feels as Not as fake as Disneyland, but close.
Yeah, I mean, like, they have a lot of, like, HOA stuff where, like, the houses have to be painted a certain color and, like, a lot of restrictions as far as that goes. So, like, I remember growing up with friends, like, our house floor plans were exactly the same.
Right.
You know? It wasn't
Was
like...
it Anna's house that was exactly the same?
Yeah.
Very
so
weird. That was weird walking in
Yeah,
there.
so it's a little bit odd when you, like, see those things and everything, because not every city's like that, obviously.
No,
I kind
yeah.
of like... After growing up there, I like the uniqueness of, like, different places and stuff like that, you know? But,
Absolutely. The neighborhood that I grew up in, it was, these were all, you know, you're talking about, like, these perfect suburban,
right.
you know, the American dream home.
Right.
I grew up in this tiny little sort of, I don't want to say poor because it's like an insult to all of them, but it was like a poor neighborhood. So, but all the houses were the same as well.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, there was no HOA, there was no rules. Like,
It was just built the same.
they were built the
Yeah.
same because there were these tiny little homes that were like, just like very cookie cutter, bop, bop, bop. They're very small, 3-bed, 1-bath, living room, kitchen, laundry room kind of thing. And, but the weird thing is the only reason our house was different was because we had a giant garage. And no one else had a giant garage. Like, we had a 2-car garage, but it had, like, an attic area.
Yeah.
But it was never, like, built up properly, so we barely kept anything up there. It was basically just, like, rafters with, like, an old Christmas tree in it or something. I don't even know. But that idea of everything being the same is very, like... It's just sort of creepy when everything is the same like that. You know what I mean? Like...
Yeah, I get it. And I mean, I think that's obviously where, like, the Tim Burton thing came in, where it is, like, a little Stepford wifey, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But, like, it didn't necessarily feel like that. It was just more so... it didn't give anyone the opportunity to really have any, like, personality with their places, if that makes sense, you know? Like, I mean, it always feels a little different, but at the same time, like, everything kind of feels the same, you know?
Yeah. So, your parents... Mm-hmm. Talk about them.
Oh, okay. They moved out here right before I was born. My mom was pregnant with me when she moved out here, but they're both. My dad's originally from South Carolina and my mom's from New Jersey. But my dad's in the industry, and he got a job offer. He's worked at a lot of different places, but the first job offer was through Fox, I think, when it was like FOX, when it like was kind of like up and coming at that point in time. It
was a new channel at the time.
And
brand new.
So he got offered a position, and I don't remember the exact title of what it was or anything like that. But
at the time, that was very weird to have like a new network channel. Like a new cable station wasn't a weird thing.
You don't really see that anymore. But do you remember like he also worked for like UPN for a while, which isn't a thing anymore.
I don't even know what that stands for. Universal.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Passion Network. I don't know. I'll find out.
But yeah, got a job out here because
he was working. An editor.
And he was working in New York and got offered the job out here in Fox. So he moved out here a couple of months before my mom, while she was pregnant, and then my mom moved out here a couple months later.
United Paramount Network. That's what it stands for. So, but your mom's originally from Jersey,
right?
What part of Jersey? All I know is like Asbury Park because of Springsteen.
Yeah.
Jersey City, Orange.
I don't remember exactly where she was born. Now
I would
have
know
to,
if I heard
like,
it.
Well, Clark, she grew up in a lot, I think. And then my aunts live like kind of in like the Manahawkin area now.
Manahawkin, that is.
But yeah, like we would go back every single year to Jersey and
Newark,
to
Atlantic City, Jersey City, Wildwood, Trenton, Cape May, Princeton, Patterson, Toms River, Hoboken, Clifton, Morristown, Cherry Hill, Camden, Montclair, Hackensack. I don't.
You're just going through all of them?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember like which one she's originally from, and none of these are sounding right.
Like I said, I think she was in Clark for a while. I'll have to.
Maybe that's it.
But I think they might have gone to a couple different cities, but I believe it's I could be wrong, but I think
I definitely
it's
Googled
like
that. What
southern.
if I knew all those Jersey cities just off the top of my head? That'd be so impressive. I don't even know that many cities in Indiana. And so your dad's from South Carolina, she's from Jersey, and everyone always says, like, they say that you have, like, certain isms in your dialect that aren't quite Californian.
They always ask me, like, where I'm from, basically.
Well, because sometimes you'll have Jersey isms, and then sometimes, which is more rare than the Jersey isms, you'll have a twang,
right,
for some reason.
Yeah.
But even, like, how you will say today, or certain words with, like, or Friday, Monday, Saturdays, anything with a day in it, it'll come off a little Jersey or East Coast. It's very, it is interesting.
It's always hard because you don't really hear your own dialect, and even, like, when you're hearing yourself back, like, all I think of when I'm listening to myself is, like, oh, I hate my voice, I hate how high it is. It sounds...
Why does everyone always say that? They always say that. Everyone always... I think... Well, you know, I remember thinking that as a kid. I had a talk boy as a kid.
Yeah.
So I remember
you might have trained yourself to, like, kind of...
You just get used to it. Yeah, and I think, like... but also, you're a singer. Like, singing, you have to listen to yourself with your own ear.
Well, I remember
and
when
you
I
get
was...
more used to hearing it how it really sounds.
Well, I remember when I was younger, especially, I hated listening to myself because I, once again, didn't like my voice. But I think in order to get any better, which I wasn't, I did have to listen to myself because you have to know what notes you're not hitting or if your breath is being weird somewhere or whatever it is.
Singing
and so you
is
kind
so
of
hard.
Yeah, so, like, I kind of forced myself to start listening to those type of things.
Now, were you naturally gifted at singing, or was it, like...
My gut is to say no, because it took a while to, like, tweak certain things. Like, I always liked music. I always would sing along and stuff like that. And I have a decent ear, but I by no means have, like, perfect pitch or anything like that.
No, what were, like, the things that you had to, like, work on the most?
It was probably pitchiness on certain notes. Like, not that I would always be pitchy, but
like, what in your do girls have a break the way men do?
Yeah. Yeah,
and
for sure.
Is that where you were having trouble?
Yeah,
or were you having trouble?
It would just depend. Like, sometimes, like, even if you're belting and holding out a big note, like, a lot of times you can adjust it where you like, fake like a ah to a or whatever it is to make it sound better. Yeah. You know, so especially it was things like that. I always had a little bit of trouble, especially when I was younger too, like harmonizing and things like that.
I am so bad at that like I got fired from a musical that I wasn't getting paid for because I couldn't fit into the harmonies properly. It's very, very difficult.
Yeah.
But I'm...
Especially when you don't do it for a while. Like, when I was in choir a lot growing up, like, that definitely helped. And also because you have a lot of people singing the same note around you, that helps too. But especially when you're doing, like, a 4-part harmony by yourself.
Right. And then, did you ever... Would you, like, in that 4-part harmony, would you move to somebody, like, if you were trying to do a harmony and you were singing higher than me, it would be hard for me not to try to come up and match your pitch.
Well, and I think the hardest thing too is, like, for, like, a particular song, if I knew the song really well and then I was trying to learn the harmony, I'd always want to sing the melody because that's what you're so used to hearing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's a lot easier if you don't know the song and then you're just learning your part and then you're like, oh, this is just the way it's sung, you know?
I was just thinking about that, I think literally yesterday, about how I remember doing musicals and I didn't you don't have a lot of time. They, like, play through the part once, like, here's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
And then they'll be like, okay, tenors, bop 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 bop. Okay, good, you got it? And then everyone would be like, yeah, got it. And I'd be like, no.
Right.
And there would be no time to be like, hey, can you work with me on this part?
I worked really hard, and a lot of the musical theater I did was great because we had really good, like, directors, like choral directors, where we would, like, go home with a cassette tape or whatever it was, a CD with all of the harmonies.
See,
on
I never got that.
So,
I think that would have been really helpful.
It's really good, and especially, like, I was one who always wanted to try really hard and everything like that. So I think, you know, studying those parts are super, super helpful and everything like that.
Now that I know how to read music and play basic piano and stuff like that, I think I'd be able to come home and actually work on it, because what I was doing back then is I would just be listening to the Broadway soundtrack or whatever it was over and over and over. But when you're doing that, you have a specific harmony part, and then you're just getting melody.
Right. I mean, repetition definitely does help and everything like
that. But that
and
singled out, like, here's your piano part, was very awesome to have, I think.
Yeah, it definitely helps.
So you did a lot of theater growing up.
Yeah.
What was your first play, and when was your first play, and what was it?
Well, starting out, I mean, I grew up going to a Methodist church, and the church actually put on, like, a lot of performances. Like, sometimes it would just be, like, the Christmas shows, but there was a couple other things that happened in between as well. So I kind of grew up doing that, and then I grew up doing choir, but I think my first, like, play or musical or whatever was at the Canyon Theater Guild. It was like our community theater out there. I think my first one was Pinocchio. I think that was the first one.
Who were you, Jiminy Cricket?
No, I was. I think I was a marionette. And
that's creepy.
Yeah, I think that was my first one. Now that but
how old were you?
7th grade, 8th grade, 7th grade.
Wow. So you hadn't done any plays before then?
Not like community theater wise. No,
I
said,
you had done stuff at the church before then, though.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I grew
up
how
old
like
were you in that first thing at church?
I mean, young. I mean, elementary school. I don't remember exactly, but I did a lot of the church.
There's something
plays,
about that age, I think, that is so just beautiful to think back on, like, being that young and doing something, especially when now we know what we didn't know, which is that we were going to follow careers in the arts.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it was just, like, fun at the time and everything, and
magical.
Yeah, it was like, I always enjoyed that, and my sister did too. My brother hated being on stage, absolutely no interest in it, so.
But he's behind the scenes also as an editor, like your dad.
Mm-hmm.
So he even still fell into the arts. And, your dad plays music, and he writes, and obviously he edits, and your brother edits, and, your sister plays music, your mom paints. You came from a very artistic household, and this is something that I remember talking to you about a lot, where I didn't really come from an artistic household at all.
Right.
You grew up going to the theater and being in the theater and having music around you at all times. There was no music in my house. My mom had no record collection, didn't collect CDs, tapes. She wrote poetry, and so I picked some of that up from her.
Mm-hmm.
And she could draw, but, like... Yeah. No one else in my family was an artist. No one, I say this story all the time, that I didn't know there was a community theater in my town until I was 18, and that's the truth.
Yeah.
Luckily, through school, I was able to do some stuff, but it was all just about, like, watching movies and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, with just movies, it was like, and I talk about this all the time, is that when I was watching those movies, like, I knew that they were actors, and I knew that there were people making that sort of thing, but I really had no idea that, I didn't know what Broadway was or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, like, I was always around it, and we did go to a lot of theater shows growing up and everything like that. My parents really liked concerts and theater, and so did we, so I definitely, like, had that in my life, from a very young age.
I think that's awesome, and that's something that I would probably, like, as wanting to be a parent, that would be the thing that I would be most excited about, is to show kids kind of the magic of, theater and movies and things like that at a very young age.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I wish I would have had that. And let's flash forward for a second. We're going to come back to your beginning, but I just want to say, because we didn't do this introduction, you are a producer on America's Got Talent.
Mm-hmm.
And you've been working there for...
This is my 5th season on the show. Yeah.
So let's just preface everything we're saying, because that's where you end up at this point in time. So going back to when you're a kid, you're in the theater, you're and I remember you said you were by high school you were directing shows and writing things and putting things together.
Yeah, but one of the advantages of being out, even though we were in like the suburbs of LA, but we still had a couple, theaters we could go to out here, whether it be regional or more professional like Pantages or anything like that. And then I would go back to like Jersey each year as well to visit family, and a couple times we'd go into the city. And so like I did visit New York at a young age as well, so
Do you remember your first Broadway show you ever saw?
As you know, I don't have a great memory. It's a problem. But I mean,
my first touring production that I ever saw was Wicked. That's the thing.
I saw Wicked. Oh God, I saw Wicked a lot. I mean, how many times did you see?
You saw it with Adina, right?
I saw it with Adina twice. I saw the original cast twice.
Gosh,
yeah,
that's very fortunate. I saw it. I think 3 times.
I saw it once by myself, and then I remember the next year I went back with my family, and I was like, we have to go see this. And,
right.
It was definitely during the whole Wicked craze, but I kind of think for good reason. Now we've all seen it, and we're like, okay, Wicked, but it really started something in musical theater where I think it was one of the ones where it was family oriented. Everyone knew the story. The songs were good. The cast was amazing, and you just were kind of brought into this world, and you could go see it with your family as well.
And what doesn't really get talked about anymore was that it was a twist on the story. It started as Wizard of Oz, and then we're turning it and making the bad guy a good guy. That right there was genius enough, even if it was just a small play, that was being done by community theaters or something like that. But the fact that, like you said, it was a killer soundtrack on top of it. I don't even think it mattered what cast it was. Just put on that show with that music and that idea, and you've got a hit. I mean, it was just so different, because I remember at that time, so that was about the time I was in high school, and I was I was doing drama club, and we were doing plays and stuff like that, and so I'm hanging around everyone, and they're asking me, what are your favorite musicals? And I'm like, I don't know. I remember a friend of mine, Nathan Middleman, he would burn me CDs. He's the one who showed me Parade by Jason Robert Brown. Mm-hmm. They were giving me Rent, and they were like, you don't know what Wicked is? And so they kind of pushed me into that world because I wasn't interested in the musicals at all. I just wanted to do plays.
I was such like a theater kid in high school and was very much like obsessed with musical theater. And I had a great theater teacher in high school, and like
what was his name?
Waylon, and he was really, really good with. He had the broad spectrum of like plays, and he knew a fair amount of musicals, especially like the ones that he had done and was familiar with. But I was like into a lot of like indie musicals at the time and everything like that. So I always remember like suggesting things that we should do and everything like that.
It's weird to hear the term indie musical. Do you mean like Next to Normal?
Yeah, I mean that was still pretty mainstream, but there was a lot that were like either off Broadway or even like I mean obviously a lot of people know like Last 5 Years and stuff like that, but
I don't know that a lot of people know that. I think theater nerds know that.
And maybe that's what it is.
But I Jason Robert Brown, as talented as he is and as many musicals as he's done, unless you're a theater person, no one knows who
I mean, there was a couple off Broadway.
Think.
Like there was one I was really obsessed with called like I Love You Because. Mm-hmm. And like some other ones that just like I said weren't as mainstream and everything like that. Right. But I also, like I said, was around a group of friends that were also obsessed with that. So we would kind of find these musicals and share them with each other and kind of be a little bit prideful, like, oh, I saw found this musical first.
I miss that so much, that love of theater and like making so much of your life theater. And I remember, like putting myself through like dance classes and voice lessons and doing theater at night, and we would go see theater. Like my entire life for so long was theater, and then I came here and very little of it is theater anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think things definitely change when you don't necessarily think or know they will. As far as like my schedule goes now, it's so sporadic and long hours, and we travel a lot and everything like that, that I've been really missing doing any kind of theater for the past 5 years, and that's something that's really unfortunate, but also you're like, but it's a good job and it pays the
It's a great
bills
job.
and
I
like,
mean-
yeah, so it's balancing like all of those things out of life that you want. But yeah, it's hard because especially when you're a theater kid and you grow up with that community and then you stop, it is kind of weird,
Yeah.
to like transfer.
Well, yeah, because it's like
out
you
of that
left
group.
your family or something.
Right.
Like, you feel like something, a part of you is missing
Right.
almost. And that's the way I feel. So going back to this acting teacher, I remember the first time I walked into your apartment way back when. I remember this happens to anyone. I go in and I look at your bookshelf.
Yeah.
There's a quote from High Fidelity. John Cusack's character says, "Music, movies, books, these things matter." Mm-hmm. Now, I could give you a million reasons why that's not true, but also I could give you a million reasons why I think it's true. So anytime I meet someone, I go up to their DVD shelf or their bookshelf immediately. It's just a habit. And I remember being very impressed by yours because you had a Stanislavski book, you had Shakespeare, Neil LaBute, just a bunch of different plays on this shelf. It looked like it was reminiscent of my bookshelf, which what I mean to say is like a real actor's bookshelf. Mm-hmm. And being that I met you in the theater and at the time you were sort of figuring out what your direction was going to be. Are you going to be an actor? Are you going to be behind the scenes? Mm-hmm. Are you going to be in TV and film? Are you going to do theater? What are you going to do? And but it seemed to me that you had this training as a real actor, not somebody who just wanted to, maybe just do musicals and not really care about the acting craft, or you were in it, you weren't trying to do anything to be famous. I just appreciated all that. And then when I saw that bookshelf with, like I said, Stanislavski on it, I was like, holy shit, she's like serious about the craft of acting and takes this as seriously as I do, where it's like it matters.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, I do have to credit, like, in high school, my theater teacher, Steve Whalen, he was really good at kind of giving us, like I said, the broad spectrum of, like old school teachings, but not just one way. Like, here are different options for you, here are different plays. He had a huge bookshelf as well of things that we can kind of go through and check out. And we would always do like a Shakespeare play each year, but we'd also do, other things in between that were more either modern or even some like throwbacks as well. And
I think that's important to have that kind of mentor or leader to not only teach you things, but give you the opportunity and the materials to cultivate it.
Yeah, I mean,
it takes
that
a
definitely,
lot of work.
Yeah, it is, because there's so much out there too, know, and it's like such a personal thing that I think a lot of people do have like different acting styles, and some people do like the whole method acting thing, and that works for them, and sometimes it doesn't, and you have to, look at different forms in order to kind of find out what works for you and everything.
I mean, I started out super method,
yeah.
And that's sort of changed over time to where it's like, don't work so hard.
Yeah, and
because you try.
I don't think you'll take this the wrong way, but I think I knew a lot of like young men in high school that were the same way, that really liked doing that method thing. And I think it's because, I don't know if we're just younger and have a lot of emotions or whatever it is, but it's just like, I'm going to listen to angry music and that's how I'm going to like get in my character, and I'm going to cry and like,
well,
you know what I mean? Like,
not that I didn't do that. I think you're right. I think there's a certain sort of mentality that you're going to muscle your acting to be good instead of imagining and cultivating feelings based upon, say, empathy or imagined empathy.
Well, and maybe it's just because
like
we don't
forcing.
Have as much life experience at that point, and we think
That's
we do.
probably true. That's a great point.
Where it's like, so we have to kind of feel it through music or through physical action, or I know people who would punch pillows or walls or scream or whatever, or just to get that.
Using, not that this is not part of certain techniques, but like if you had a breakup or you're mad or something, you would, at that age, like sort of force your life to be chaotic so that your acting would be better.
Right.
Which is such a sick thought, but you're trying to figure out who you are, or that's what artists are doing. We're trying to figure out who we are, where we belong in the world, how we fit, and then also what to do, like you said, with all these emotions. Artists are sensitive people, and it's like sensitivity means there's a lot of emotions going on, and when you're that young, you're confused by those emotions.
Yeah.
But, I mean, like you, going back to this, you had a great teacher that could help lead the way through that. And I think that's very important. Like, for me, I just had all these books, and, like, my high school drama teacher, he was, like, checked out. Like, he was ready to retire. In fact, he did retire, and then junior year, we sort of had a teacher, but not really, and then senior year, one of the English teachers, or no, I'm sorry, not the English teacher, one of the photography teacher stepped in, and he was teaching it, and I remember he confided in me, and he was like, I don't know. I was like, just, look, here's the book, here's what we're going to do, and I had the opportunity to, like, be his, like, teacher's assistant, and, like, help plan this thing, and, like, help put everything on. We did, like, a stand-up comedy portion, and a puppetry portion, because I always loved, like, Jim Henson and stuff like that, and we got to mess around with all that stuff, and it wasn't like the other 3 years where it was like, all right, pick out a scene, do a scene, you'll get critiqued. Pick out a scene, do a scene, you'll get critiqued. In those classes, like, I made my first short films and stuff like that. I mean, they were very important, but, like, I didn't have necessarily a good instructor that was, like, taking me down that path, and I think that, even the training that I've had, say, in college or the training I've done out here, it's like it doesn't seem to... Like, I still have areas that I'm very not... I feel like I'm not trained in or not sharp in. Like, for instance, I haven't done a Shakespeare play. Shakespeare is still something intimidating and foreign to me. I did, like, a Shake scene for the Shakespeare Festival at Notre Dame.
Right.
We did a... What's it called? Comedy of Errors. Me and Jordan Mullins did that. And I think I did a scene or two for, like, acting class, and I've read a lot of it. But and I've watched, like, a lot of, there's the Royal Shakespeare Company does a series on, and it's on YouTube on, it's got, like, Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart and the guy that played Ben Kingsley, like, all these great actors teaching you how to do Shakespeare. But I've never had the opportunity to do it, and I always wanted to. Actually, I lied. We did Romeo and Juliet in 5 minutes, and I played Tybalt, and that's how I got my SAG card. Yeah, so that's it. That's but as far as Shakespeare goes, I have no, and even with singing and dancing and musical theater, I still feel like a novice. I don't feel strong there. Obviously, like, film acting is the place that I'm most comfortable because that's what I have the most experience in. But and that was the goal anyway, but I do miss theater. I think it's such a great
it's just it is, and it makes you feel good too, whether you're watching it or
it's powerful. Well, because it's so immediate and it's so right there and it's so live, and it's like even if you're in the back row of a giant theater, it's still happening right in front of your face.
Right. Yeah.
It's just really great. So high school, great program, and then you go to college.
Yeah, and I also grew up painting and, drawing and doing art in that form as well. And
when did you get good at painting? Because you're so good now. You're literally one of the best. You are the best painter I know, and one of my favorite painters I've ever seen.
Well, thank you. No, I mean, I grew up doing that since a very early age too. Elementary school, I was in art classes and things like that. And I didn't really take art classes in high school because I was really between, like, choir and theater. But, I guess in high school what I did do, I didn't take art classes at my high school, but there was this program at Pasadena Art Center, which is a college out here. And so I took, like, pre-college courses through them. So they had this...
That's a cool place. I did a couple films out there.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So that was kind of cool because you were taught by the college professors there, but it was for like high school students and everything to kind of start to build a portfolio, which a lot of my portfolio came through those classes actually. And so when I went to college, I kind of knew I wanted to do like art illustration, and at first I thought I was going to maybe do like children's books or something like that, you know, and I got into...
Would you still do one?
Maybe. I mean, I'd like to get back into art a lot, you know, with children's books. I think, even though you can put your own spin on it, I know a lot of it is obviously, you have to work well with the author and everything like that, and really...
It's almost better if you're doing it for your own book.
Right, yeah. But, I mean, I still love painting and everything like that, but I got into a bunch of different schools, and some were, like, specifically art schools, and some were, like, California state schools and everything. I probably should have gone to, like, an art school, like, looking back on it now, but they were more expensive, and there was, like, a couple other reasons. I had a boyfriend at the time that was a year younger than me, and I was like, oh, well, if I go to a state school, he'll follow me, you know? And, like, so as a young person, you're making kind of these decisions that probably, like I said, being older now, you wouldn't you wouldn't do that. But, you know, honestly, like I said, in my young brain, so I went to Cal State Long Beach, which actually still had a great art program there. They had a BFA program, and
I meet a lot of people out here that went there, and they all say they loved that school.
It's such a great school. One, it's beautiful. It's just like a beautiful campus, a beautiful area. I know some people don't like Long Beach, but I loved living in a beach town. Thought it was just such a great area. And the program, like I said, was really great, too. People were really nice. Like, I have nothing but good things to say about that school.
And then did you transfer before you went abroad, or no?
No. So I went to Long Beach for 2.5 years. Gotcha. And then I decided I wanted to study abroad and went to Florence for a semester.
Italy.
Right. Florence, Italy. Yeah, no, like Florence, Texas, or whatever
Florence,
it is.
Texas, studying abroad.
And then when I came back from that, then I transferred to Northridge for, once again, a couple different reasons, you know.
Boy.
Partially boy. Partially, it was... I didn't make a ton of friends in Long Beach when I was originally out there. I was commuting home a lot still. I didn't really give myself that opportunity, which now, once again, looking back, I really wish that I would have done that. I'm not a sorority person, so, like, I never really joined those clubs. I never, you know, I just didn't, like, really allow myself to meet people, really, you know? Right. So... like, when I moved in with a friend I knew from high school. So, like, we would hang out a lot. Like I said, I just didn't give myself an opportunity, really, to make friends there. And I was feeling a little homesick, also partially, you know. I had spent a lot of money when I was traveling, so I wanted to move back home and start saving that up again. You know, there was a couple reasons that, logically, to move back and everything like that. And also, I was really missing theater at that point, and I really thought I was going to end up double majoring in theater and art.
And you didn't?
Well, I had the intent to. So when I went to Northridge, when I transferred to Northridge, I did put myself down for a double major and took about maybe 2 semesters of, like, theater classes, maybe 3, but really didn't like their program.
See, that's what happened to me, is I took 2 or 3 years of, and I didn't like the program, so I abandoned ship. I was just at the wrong school.
You have to go to the right school. Whether for really any arts, you know, because I also think Long Beach was a better art program.
No one's going to hire you because you have a theater degree. So if you're not having a good time and you're not getting a lot of great training out of your theater program, don't pay the money for it.
Yeah,
go get a marketing degree or something that you can make money off.
Yeah, I just didn't. I didn't love the teachers. Or go to a different school with a good program. Yeah, it's just. It was a lot of. Yeah, I just had some weird experiences there that I just didn't really like. I said I didn't love the program, unfortunately. Yeah. So at that point in time, I was just kind of like, look, I can either do this for a couple more years, or I can just graduate with my art degree, which I was already finishing because I had a lot of credits already, you know. All
right, so let's go back. Let's talk about Florence for a minute because you just skipped over that. I don't know a lot of people that had the opportunity to travel and study abroad, and definitely don't know anybody that went to Italy to study art, which is like, to me, the art capital of history and of the world.
Yeah.
All my favorite artists have done their work in Italy.
Right.
So why did you choose to go to Italy? Tell me how that all came about, and tell me about the experience.
I was looking into different study abroad programs, just because I've always loved traveling and was kind of just looking into things. And Italy popped up mostly because of the art degree, obviously. And it's just such a hub for art in general. And then at one point I was talking to one of my friends who was going to school. I think she was in school in Missouri at the time. And she was like, oh, I'm looking to study abroad in Italy too. And I was like, that's so weird. This is when I'm going. And she's like, this is when I'm going. And then we kind of found a school that had both of our degrees, because she was going for interior design and I was going for art illustration. So it just kind of worked out. And I was like, that would kind of make this whole experience a little bit easier. Mm-hmm. And it, like I said, it was awesome. We ended up, they set you up with, so you actually have 4 roommates in one apartment. But you did have an apartment, and it was my friend Anna and I shared a room, and then the other 2 girls shared a room. But it was a beautiful place, beautiful location. It was such an amazing program. I would definitely recommend anyone who has an opportunity to study abroad to definitely take advantage of it. There's so many different programs, and you can go for a semester or a year. There's some that are even like summer school programs that you can do
like
it for a couple weeks.
Whatever,
yeah. So, like I said, you can take advantage of it so many different ways.
If I knew as a kid what I know now, I would have done everything differently.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would have done everything differently, but I definitely would have.
Well, it sounds like you had a lot of things that went, as far as your high school through college goes, like you made a lot of really great decisions, I think.
Yeah, and like I said, now looking back on it, of course, there's little things where I was like, oh, well, maybe I would have gone to this school, or maybe I would have done this. It's like things like that.
Those
I mean,
pretty
general.
Minor. I mean, you still have these great experiences.
Totally.
Like Italy,
I definitely
great teachers. You did dabble in many different things, which is what I have younger siblings. You know that. I don't know if the listeners do, but I have younger siblings, and I'm all the time telling them, like, you have to experience as much as you can while you're under that safety net of not having to pay crazy amounts of bills.
Yeah, and a lot of times with study abroads too, you're getting credits, you're still going to school, and there are affordable ones. There's not, it's not.
That's the excuse I hear all the time. Well, it's expensive. So is school.
Yeah,
so
right, exactly. Yeah,
and what's another $5,000 or whatever it is to get that extra bit of
It's not that expensive when you're a student, honestly. And also, especially, you're able to take advantage of a lot of discounts as a student.
Of course.
When you're going there, like, as silly as it sounds, you get student discounts for all the museums, or like a coliseum or something like that. There's a lot that you can take advantage of, which is really great. But Italy is the most beautiful place in the world. I would recommend it to anyone, especially where I lived, like in Florence. It was it was a great town to choose, because like Rome's very, very large,
right?
And you do have to
have a coliseum.
They do. And I mean, it's still a very like walkable city, but you still need public transportation if you're going from point A to point B, if you're going across the city and everything. Florence is 100% walkable. You can walk the entire thing. I never use transportation in Florence.
As you shouldn't.
Yeah. So
you did the Italy thing.
Yeah.
You graduate college, and then what do you do? So
I graduated college, and then I wouldn't say I freaked out, but art is very like you're in your room, you're painting for hours on end. By yourself. And it was just being a theater kid growing up and having this community, and then all of a sudden locking myself in a room for hours and hours. It was a hard transition for me, because I wasn't doing like any theater at the time.
A little cabin fever?
Yeah, it was definitely. So I don't know. I was kind of going back and forth of what I wanted to do, because I really didn't know at that point. So I was like, well, maybe I'll like kind of try my hand in like film or television, because I was like, well, that's still artistic in a way. It's still like very creative, and I'm going to be around people. So my dad suggested to apply for the CBS Page program. which they have at a bunch of, like, I know NBC has one, and I don't know all the networks, but there's a couple different networks that provide this page program, which is kind of like an internship, but you get paid. And it's basically you're just working on a bunch of different shows, either as kind of like audience, like ushers, or, you know, it's like it's a PA program, but the cool thing is that, like I said, you're assigned to a network, so you're able to work on all of these different shows.
Right.
So that was like such a big benefit where you were able to meet a lot of people. I think with the CBS one, you're only allowed to be a page for 2 years, I believe.
Right.
I was a page for 6 months, and then I got offered a job, which was great.
Can we talk about that ugly red jacket? How much did you love it?
Oh, it's awful, and I think
so they make the pages. They do still.
Oh, if you still, or if you have watched 30 Rock.
Kenneth.
Kenneth is a page on 30 Rock.
Yeah, that's what a page is. So he's giving the tours and he's doing little errands for people, and yeah. So they make you wear these ugly jackets, and I applied for this page program. I did not get it, which now looking back, I'm like, I'm fine with it. But yeah, it's like, you know, it's like I've done tons of work as a PA. It's not fun. It's not glamorous.
No, it's not at all. I mean,
but
like I said,
it's a great first stepping stone.
It's a great first stepping stone.
You who
One,
didn't
because
have,
especially I didn't
have a film degree.
I didn't, and I didn't really have any experience like being on sets or anything. Like that was kind of like my first foot in the door of, you know, luckily with theater, you kind of know, like, you know what a backstage area is, you know what a stage is, like you kind of know a lot of the basics as far as that goes. You know. But obviously, TV and film. Film is very different because, you know, you're learning the lingo and you're learning, you know, position names and titles and everything like that. But it really was a good introduction to that. Also, I think for people who have never, like, been on sets before, growing up in Hollywood, you do see celebrities every once in a while.
Because you had never done, like, extra work.
No.
You had probably done the Universal Studio Tour.
Yes.
Okay, so, you know,
that's a bit of an education.
Yeah,
and like I said, my dad was in the industry, so, like, he would take me to, like, certain screenings of things. I think I even remember, like, he would get us, like, so you would be in the studio audience. So I had like kind of experienced it before, but
right, just on the outside.
But on the outskirts of it, yeah, exactly. So this was, like I said, my first foot in the door. But I also think it's really good for people who might be a little starstruck. You have to get, if you're on a lot, you kind of have to get used to meeting celebrities all the time without like giving googly eyes, because you're not going to get hired if you're like, can I take a picture with you all the time? Like, you got to be cool, you know?
Cool, bro.
Be cool, bro. Exactly. And so like I said, even though I didn't really have that, I think a lot of people when they move to LA definitely have the stars in their eyes and everything like that. And I think that's a way of like realizing what it really is, whether you're extra work or this. It's very humbling. You're like, all of it's not all glitz and glam, you know?
If you look like you're being needy or you look desperate for something, those are the people that don't get anything. It's the people that are like, I don't really care about this. They shoot right up to the top.
Yeah.
Because like that person's not going to be needy. They're not going to be a handful. So, okay, so you do the page program, 6 months. I think you said you were working on, like, what's his name? Craig Kilborn or something like that?
Craig Ferguson.
Is Kilborn the other guy? Do you remember that guy? I think maybe he was, I don't know.
But it was a bunch of the CBS shows at the time. It was like Dancing with the Stars, Young and the Restless.
Price is Right.
Price is Right was a huge one for the pages.
Come on down.
I know. And then The Talk, and audience, like, associate position had opened up at the Talk.
Did you apply or did they ask you?
I applied.
Nice.
I applied really. I obviously had not been in the page program that long, and there was a lot of people applying that had been there, that were senior pages, that had been there for 2 years. And even in the page program, there's normally like a lead of the day that you're following and they're giving orders. I wasn't there yet where I was ever a lead or anything, but my strategy behind applying was, I'm going to apply because that way the audience producer knows who I am. So that was my whole thing. I was like, because then I automatically have a sit-down conversation with him. He gets to know me. Next time a position opens up,
right,
I'm going to get it. You know, like, that was kind of like my strategy. So
networking was your strategy.
Right. So I
smart.
I applied for the position. Had a great conversation, and I was actually in a show at the time. God, Cabaret, I think.
Probably
I think I was in
Cabaret,
Cabaret at the time. So I had kind of told him about that. I was like, hey, just so you know, like, just in case I get this, like, I'm in the show.
But that made you probably look better. You're in a show, you're in the page program, you're a hard worker.
I got really lucky, too, because the audience producer was a fan of theater, so we kind of connected on that.
You can say Danny.
Danny was a fan of theater. He's one of my best friends now on it, so... It goes to show you, but yeah, we really chatted it up about that and everything, but we had really never had a conversation before because, like I said, I worked there, not that long, and it's not like you were on the show every single day. You were bouncing around to a bunch of different shows, and sometimes that week you would not even be scheduled on that show,
Right.
So we had the conversation. It went really well. I was like, oh, good, okay, like Danny knows who I am now, and then I didn't hear from the job, which I didn't expect to hear from the job. And it was probably like 3 or 4 weeks later that I finally got a call saying, we'd like to offer you this position, which I was really shocked about because, like I said, there was a lot of more qualified people applying for that job. But I think sometimes with something like that, it does go on being personable, especially with that position. It was so much of talking to people. You had to be on the phone all the time. You had to talk to audience members. It was a lot of that, so I think that was probably a main thing he was looking for at the time, So I did that for, I want to say maybe 2 years I was an audience associate, something like that. And then an executive assistant position opened up at the Talk. And I basically told Danny, I was like, hey, I want to apply for this because I want to move out of audience and audience coordinating. Which he was fantastic about, and then I ended up getting that position. And I did that for,
About a year.
About a year, maybe even less.
And then, I think you were.
And then someone that I worked with at the Talk had said that they needed a executive assistant on AGT, and I thought that was just a good move, just to see what else there was besides like daytime, because I had been doing that for a long time, just to get some different experience. And I had heard through this guy basically that they do promote and everything like that, and that's what I was looking for. So went over there, was an executive assistant for a couple of years, and now I'm associate producer for Contestants.
And like you said, you're in your 5th season, right?
Yeah, this is my 5th season on the show.
So that all happened very fast. There's a lot of fortunate sort of things.
Yeah,
not that you didn't work hard for it.
No, but
That's
I was very. I always pushed really hard. I kind of like knew when it was time to move on from a position or to like change it up or anything. And this is not a slap in the face to anyone, but like I think some people get very content, and I was always one where it's like, okay, I need either something different to learn or a new title or a new this.
Well, that's it. If you're not growing,
like
it's not.
Yeah.
You have to leave. You
right.
have to get out of there.
Yeah, exactly.
So, we're coming up on an hour here. Let's talk about me for a little bit.
Your favorite subject?
My favorite subject. So we met while you had just gotten the job at the Talk as the audience associate.
Yeah.
And I was new to LA. I had been here about like 10 months when I met you or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I had been doing a play up in Santa Clarita, where you're from, with a friend of yours, Christina, who was stage managing a show. The quick run through is that I moved here. This is going to be very fast. So I moved here in June 11th, 2011. My first gig was at Universal Studios Hollywood during Halloween Horror Nights as a scare actor, where I met Cedric Estaro. Check out episodes 1 and 2 to hear about that. I'm pretty sure we talk about it. And then I didn't have a job, so Zed said go to Apple One, the temp agency out here. I did. They sent me out to a plumbing company to work in an office in Sylmar, which is Deep Valley, where I met Christina. And then I said, you seem like a theater person. She says, I am. I'm stage managing Jutopia at the Reppies Playhouse. Invited me to come see it. I went to see it. I liked it. I said, I want to work here. She said, we're auditioning for Journey's End, which was this really cool World War I play, and you're perfect for it. I audition. I get it. And then you come to one of the shows, and that's where we met. And then we didn't see each other for a long time. But I get hired to do choreography for the next show, which was the Great American Trailer Park Musical, which you were cast in.
Right.
So you were cast in that right after you got the job as the audience associate. So you were still hustling really, really hard.
Yeah, and
doing
at the
shows
time,
and a full-time job. That's crazy.
Yeah, and I was still working at Islands at the time,
Oh my
too.
God, that's right, on the weekends, yeah.
So I was, like, really busy. I was still, working a lot and everything like that.
Yeah.
And,
doing what you
and
gotta
then
do.
doing shows and everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we meet. I'm the choreographer. We hang out a few times. We start dating. And now here we are.
Yeah.
So my question for you is, I know that it's weird that I'm asking you this question, but, for people listening, what's it like living with an actor, somebody who does what I do?
Well, right before we
Don't
started,
hold back.
right before we started dating, no, I have a type.
You do?
I have only dated actors.
Yep.
And so right before we started dating, I'm like, I'm swearing off actors. No more. They are too needy. They are too much, too emotional.
True. Yeah.
I'm not doing it no more.
Yeah.
And then I met
2
you.
days later.
I know, right? And no, it's just, look, you're attracted to what you're attracted to and
story.
everything. And I think that even though there are those negative qualities to actors, there's obviously a reason why we mesh so well and everything like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are those qualities, and dating an actor is hard, but I think it also helps, like, with my schedule. Like, you understand, like, there's certain days that I work, like, 16 or 18-hour days, and I don't get home
that's
till
what
2
I
a.m.
appreciate about you, is
Yeah,
that you
so it's
understand me
like-
on that level where you're not ever saying you're working too much. You understand that
Right.
not that my career comes before you, but that
No, it's
my
just
career is
part of it.
extremely important to me, and that I'm going to do whatever I have to do to be not only successful at this, but to also, it takes a lot of time.
It's just part of the beast of this industry and
Of
everything.
course.
And, like, yeah, so there are certain days, like I said, that I work super late. You obviously did, like, extra work, when we were first dating, too. And those are sporadic
14-hour
hours,
days,
too,
yeah.
and you just don't know. I travel a lot for my job, and, so it and you did, too, a lot for the movie, you were traveling all the time. And even though it's hard, I think it definitely helps when you can understand that person's point of view, because you're dealing with it as well.
Yeah, I don't think
if
if I was living with somebody who works like a banker's hours, like 9 to 5, they would probably not only not understand why I love and need this so much, but why I'm doing all this for sometimes no money for tons and tons of hours.
Yeah.
Why am I doing this? So it's good for me that you understand all this. I mean, even to the point of, like, I'm like, hey, sit down and let me record your voice for an hour for my podcast for the
right. Yeah.
for the listen. Like, everything has to do with that. But also, I enjoy the idea that you and I can work together on things creatively, which is
right.
I'd like to do more of, obviously. Like, there's
Yeah.
tons of things I want to do.
Yeah, it's hard when you have, like,
include you.
two busy schedules,
Of course.
and when you do have a night off, you just kind of want to, like,
Watch TV.
watch TV or hang at home or, like, go out to dinner and, like, enjoy that person's company instead of continuing to work all the time,
But also, if we worked together all the time, we would end up butting heads, and that probably wouldn't be a great thing. So small projects are good.
Yeah.
But what would you say has been the hardest thing about, our sort of,
Dynamic?
I guess, not even our dynamic, but I guess our relationship, like, for people who want to know what it's like to live with an actor.
I think in the beginning it was a lot harder. As with, I think, probably not necessarily, like, actors, but in most relationships, I think it's always hard just living with someone in general, especially when it's someone you're dating, because there's the romantic aspect, but it's still, like, there's things that bug you about that person. And I think once you kind of get past those things or learn each other's styles of things and compromise on certain things, it begins to be a lot easier. you're one who has a strong opinion about everything. And for instance, the short version of this story is we were painting walls at first. And I had come home with like 4 different color reds for our kitchen.
And I didn't like
and you didn't like any of them. And I was just trying to make the place look nice. And I was like, I've never met someone more opinionated. Like, it's red. We're painting the walls red, you know?
Not the right red.
It's not the right red. And it was just like...
But I think that's because maybe, and this is probably not healthy, but everything in my life is an artistic choice.
Right, yeah.
From what I wear when I go out the door to what my walls look like, everything is that, because I enjoy that idea of we can create the life that we dream of in our head if we just make the choice to do so. Right.
Yeah, no, for sure. You know, but like that was just an adjustment at first, because most guys are just like, yeah, whatever, you know, like I wasn't.
And then now that we're getting married,
I wasn't used to
good
that.
thing you had that training for 5 years of that, because how opinionated was I this entire wedding planning?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's funny. I'm like a part of like girls like wedding group, SoCal wedding group, and everyone's like, my fiance doesn't care about anything. And I was like, you can take mine. Like,
it's crazy. Well, for the listeners, I made Spotify playlists and told the DJ just hit play. Like, I don't want any of his choices. I just want him to play the music I picked out in this order. You know, down to like I'm changing the lighting of the venue.
Yeah, like, it's just hell? Like, yeah.
But, you know, that's what happens when you have 2 producers, 2 artists coming in trying to plan a wedding, because to us, not that it's not this sort of very sentimental and important and beautiful ceremony that we're doing, but also we're looking at it like this is sort of a show. It's sort of a party at the same time, to where we put like that artistic touch into it.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Should be good. Should be fun.
A few more days.
I know, right?
30, 40?
Yeah. It's coming up real fast now.
Well, that was your journey. I appreciate you sitting down with me for just over an hour.
Of course.
Was that fun?
Yeah, it went, I think, a little bit better than I was expecting.
Only a little?
Yeah, just a little.
You were great.
Thanks.
It's fine. We should do it again sometime.
Sure. We'll see how many people listen to it. If we get a lot of thumbs downs, then, you know.
Boring. They probably wanted more
cares.
drama out of this, like, you know, back and forth, find out the nitty-gritty about it. Maybe our next one will be relationship
Maybe part 2.
Stuff.
I was going to say, this one was more of, yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, thanks.
Thank you.
I'm going to go pick up our car now.
Okay, love you, bye.
Love you, bye.
And that was it. That was the whole thing. Not too bad. We were able to do that pretty quickly. An hour? There's some things we didn't get to. I would have liked to have gone through more about her working at AGT, what that's like. And me being somebody who's done some work with them, as I did some PA stuff there, some editing stuff there. It's a pretty cool show to work on. We'll talk more about that another time, and more about the in-depths of the relationship stuff. But we have time. She'll come back on. Maybe my next birthday. Yeah, let's see. That's it, I think. Episode 9 in the can. Uploaded. Ready to go. So thank you guys for listening. I'm not sure who our next guest is going to be, but it'll be somebody fun. It will be, I promise. It'll probably be more along the lines of, talking about the craft of acting, things like that. And then sometime in the month, we'll probably do one more with Jason talking about the what's going on in Hollywood, what's going on with the trailers, things of that nature. We're going to keep evolving the show as it goes. So if you have any notes, concerns, questions, ideas, hit me up. Speaking of Jason, he's calling while I'm recording, and I have my phone off silent like a moron. So let me know if you guys have any ideas. I don't have a name yet for the Hollywood Happy Hour listeners. Like every other podcast has a really cool name for their listeners. I have nothing. I got nothing. What are you, the happy hours? I don't know. But I'm excited to see where the show goes, where it evolves, what we do. And also, like, if you guys have any ideas, like notes for me, please let me know. Like, there's certain podcasters, they all say, and without further ado, it drives me bonkers. I can't stand it. I don't say it. I don't like it. Don't do that. If you're another podcaster and you say, without further ado, so-and-so, stop. It needs to be done. You're done. Yeah. So we need a name for the listeners, and anything that you're like, this is annoying, don't do that. even like the music, we're working on like trying to find some music. Good musician buddy of mine, Greg Fisher, I might be like, hey, make me some music. I don't know. But yeah, I got to get off this microphone. It's time to go celebrate the birthday. 24 years young. Here we go. You guys buying that? You're like, yeah, he sounds 24. Good. All right, I'm out of here. Later.